The aircraft, a Boeing 777-200ER operated by Malaysia Airlines, was carrying 12 Malaysian crew members and 227 passengers from 14 different nations. But what happened to this airplane is still a mystery. Stick on as we are going to unravel the story of the Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 in 2014, which disappeared during a flight from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing, leaving 239 people missing. The mystery began as a standard red-eye flight from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing. 42 minutes after midnight on 8th of March 2014, Malaysia Airlines Flight 370, a Boeing 777 jet designated MH370, climbed into the moonlit night and turned northeast toward the South China Sea. The first officer, Farid Hamid, was 27 years old and one training flight away from full certification. The pilot in command, Zahariya Ahmad Shah, was, at 53, one of the most senior and respected pilots for Malaysia Airlines. They led a crew of 10 flight attendants, all Malaysian, and ferried 227 passengers. The majority of those on board were Chinese, along with 38 Malaysians and citizens of Indonesia, Australia, India, France, the US, Iran, Ukraine, Canada, New Zealand, the Netherlands, Russia, and Taiwan. Just north of the point where contact was lost, as the aircraft entered Vietnamese airspace, the crew was supposed to notify ATC in Ho Chi Minh City. Shortly after 01:30, the crew of Flight 370 was requested to contact them by Vietnamese air traffic control, and the captain of another aircraft tried to reach them via the International Air Distress frequency. The captain reported that he was able to establish communication, but all he heard was mumbling and static. At 2:39 and 07:13, calls were placed to the Flight 370 cockpit. However, the satellite data unit of the aircraft acknowledged the calls. Brown background with white lines, dots, and labels depicting air routes, waypoints, and airports. Label in the top of the image reads, Military radar plot from Pulau Perak to the last plot at 0222H. Green specks form a trail from bottom center to left center that was Flight 370. As the caption explains, the path is in two parts, with a white circle around the blank area between them, and appears to highlight a section where the aircraft was not tracked by radar. Data from the Malaysian military's primary radar show Flight 370, which is green crossing the Strait of Malacca and Andaman Sea to where it was last detected by radar. The left of the two segments of the flight track follows Air Route N571 between waypoints Vampi and Mekar. The white circle appears to highlight a section where the aircraft was not tracked by radar. At 01:20:31, MIT Flight 370 was observed on radar at the Kuala Lumpur ACC as it passed the navigational waypoint Igar in the Gulf of Thailand. 5 seconds later, the mode S symbol disappeared from radar screens. Flight 370 disappeared from the radar screen at Kuala Lumpur ACC and was lost at about the same time on radar at Ho Chi Minh ACC, which reported that the aircraft was at the nearby waypoint Bitad. Air traffic control uses secondary radar, which relies on a signal emitted by a transponder on each aircraft. Therefore, the ADS-B transponder was no longer functioning on Flight 370 after 01:21. The final transponder data indicated that the aircraft was flying at its assigned cruise altitude of flight level 350 and was traveling at 471 knots true airspeed. There were few clouds around this point and no rain or lightning nearby. Later analysis estimated that Flight 370 had 41,500 kilograms, around 91,500 pounds of fuel when it disappeared from secondary radar, at the time that the transponder stopped functioning. The Malaysian military's primary radar showed Flight 370 turning right, but then beginning a left turn to a southwesterly direction. From 01:30:35 until 01:35, military radar showed Flight 370 at 35,700 feet on a 231-degree magnetic heading, with a ground speed of 496 knots. Flight 370 continued across the Malay Peninsula, fluctuating between 31,000 and 33,000 feet in altitude. A civilian primary radar at Sultan Ismail Petra Airport, with a 60-nanometer range, made 4 detections of an unidentified aircraft between 01:30:37 and 01:52:35. The tracks of the unidentified aircraft are consistent with those of the military data. At Ora 152, Flight 370 was detected passing just south of the island of Penang. From there, the aircraft flew across the Strait of Malacca, passing close to the waypoint Vampi and Pulau Perak at 0203, after which it flew along Air Route N571 to waypoints Mekar, Neelam, and possibly Igogu. The last known radar detection from a point near the limits of Malaysian military radar was at Aero 222, 10 nanometer after passing waypoint Mekar from Penang and 247.3 nanometer northwest of Penang Airport at an altitude of 29,500 feet. Countries were reluctant to release information collected from military radar because of sensitivity about revealing their capabilities. Indonesia has an early warning radar system, but its ATC radar did not register any aircraft with the transponder code used by Flight 370, despite the aircraft possibly having flown near or over the northern tip of Sumatra. Indonesian military radar tracked Flight 370 earlier when en route to waypoint Agari before the transponder is thought to have been turned off, but did not provide information on whether it was detected afterwards. Thailand and Vietnam also detected Flight 370 on radar before the transponder stopped working. The radar position symbols for the transponder code used by Flight 370 vanished after the transponder is thought to have been turned off. Vietnam's Deputy Minister of Transport, Pham Quy Thieu, stated that Vietnam had noticed MH370 turning back toward the west and that its operators had twice informed Malaysian authorities the same day on 8 March. Thai military radar detected an aircraft that might have been Flight 370, but it is not known at what time the last radar contact was made, and the signal did not include identifying data. Also, the flight was not detected by Australia's conventional system or its long-range JORN over-the-horizon radar system, which has an official range of 3,000 km. The latter was not in operation on the night of the disappearance. The news media reported several sightings of an aircraft fitting the description of the missing Boeing 777. On 19th of March 2014, CNN reported that witnesses including fishermen, an oil rig worker, and people on the Kuta Huvadhu atoll in the Maldives saw the missing airliner. A fisherman claimed to have seen an unusually low-flying aircraft off the coast of Kota Baru, while an oil rig worker 186 miles southeast of Vung Tau claimed he saw a burning object in the sky that morning, a claim credible enough for the Vietnamese authorities to send a search and rescue mission, and Indonesian fishermen reported witnessing an aircraft crash near the Malacca Straits. 3 months later, the Daily Telegraph reported that a British woman sailing in the Indian Ocean claimed to have seen an aircraft on fire. Could this Malaysian airline be found someday? Let us know in the comments section below. And that wraps up today's content. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and also make sure to subscribe and turn on all notifications so that you won't miss out on our future contents.